Right. Shalom, 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 Shabbat shalom to the 12 tribes scattered abroad, right? To the families, to the children, right? Men, women, and elders in this truth, right? You know, shalom, Shabbat shalom to them all, right? Just a quick breakdown, man, right? On should I keep the Sabbath day, right? Sabbath days, right? Because I have to even change the title, right? Should I keep the Sabbath day, right? And laws are done away with, question mark, because you know people are teaching that the laws is we're under grace. Being under grace isn't a license to forsake the Sabbath or to forsake what the Most High has told us, man. Right? It's not an excuse to do that, right? So we as the watchmen, right? And yes, obviously we are called the watchmen for Israel, right? But that doesn't mean that if you're in another congregation, you're not a watchman, right? Of course, if you're in this truth, right, and you would be a watchman. So anyone that's deemed a watchman is an Israelite that's actually following in the footsteps of Yahweh Shemi Shai, right? So let's just go into this real quick. Let's just go into this, right? So all praise to the Most High, right? So this is the book of Ezekiel, chapter 3 and verse 17. It says, Son of man, I have made thee a watchman unto the house of Israel. Therefore hear the word at my mouth and give them warning from me. So as the watchman, right? And a watchman, he sits upon a high tower. Not this superhero. Well, we would be superheroes if you want to, call it that. But a watchman, and they sit upon a high tower, right? Watching and being alerting the people of dangers, right? Any sort of wickedness that is on the way, right? That's what a watchman would be, right? And the house of Israel, or the Israelites that are teaching this word in truth and sincerity, they would be watchmen, right? And we're supposed to give warning, right? Reading on, it says, When I say unto the wicked, thou shalt surely die, and thou givest him not warning, nor speakest to warn the wicked from his wicked way to save his life. The same wicked man shall die in his iniquity, but his blood will I require at thine hand. So if we don't give warning, right, to other Israelites, hey, the blood is on our hand, right? So that's why we have to, as watchmen, hey, look, this is what it is. We have to keep the Sabbath day, right? And Lord willing, I'll go into depth at another point, but hey, Satan has but a short time, so we got to make this, but got to make the most of our time, especially on the Shabbat, right? This is Ezekiel 3:19. Yet if thou warn the wicked, right? And we warn the wicked by what? Right? Being out, right? On the Shabbat, right? That's the whole point of the Shabbat, is to warn the people, man. Right? Christ said he's not here for, it's paraphrasing greatly, that Christ is here for those that are sick, right? He's here for those that are sick, those that are. That's why the brothers they go out and they teach, man. Even some sisters, they kind of be, I see some sisters on TikTok, they're spreading the gospel, man, of the knowledge and power of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right? And there's no other name, right? It's Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right? Just to emphasize that, right? So it says that the Israelites were supposed to warn. Yet if thou warn, and he turn not from his wickedness, nor from his wicked way, he shall die in his iniquity, but thou hast delivered thy soul. So, as the Israelites, we're supposed to give warning and give heed to other Israelites, man, of what is to arrive, what's to happen, right? So, like, yeah, all right, okay, right. So, This is the book of Amos, chapter 3, and verse 6. It says, shall a trumpet be blown? I'll read it again. Amos 3 and 6. It says, shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people be not afraid? Shall there be evil in the city, and the Lord have not done it? So that's what the watchmen are set up to do, right? They're set up to be a trumpet, right? And a trumpet, sometimes it can be loud, sometimes it can be a nice sound. But the point of the trumpet is to warn and alert somebody from that watchman tower. Hey, 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 right? Get out of the way. That's what it's for, right? Brother always says, one of the brothers says at camp, if I see I saw I don't know, a big lorry coming towards you, I'm not gonna say, hey, be quiet. I'm gonna shout, I'm gonna be loud and very vocal about warning you of this oncoming lorry, right? But this is right. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 58 and verse 1. It says, cry aloud, spare not, lift up thy voice like a trumpet. Right? Again, that's that trumpet, man. Right? Making you know what is on its way, man. Right? And show my people their transgression and the house of Jacob their sin. So that's the whole point of a trumpet, man. So when brothers are teaching and all the word and the Sabbath day, right, which we should be keeping, like I said, Lord willing, again, we'll go into in-depth breakdown on the Sabbath, right? We should be warning the people, man, right? Because, like in the book of Acts, right, which he says is ascribed to either Peter or Luke, I believe, right? It says, I'll read down from verse 20. You see that about the point of washing your hands from men's iniquity, man. This is Acts chapter 20, and I'll read from verse number, make the words a bit bigger. Acts 20, and I'll start from verse 27. It says, for I have not shunned to declare unto you all the counsel of Yahweh. So you're not, meaning if you're not shunned, right? Let's pull up what that word shunned means. So shunned means avoided or rejected. So if you're not shunned, that means you're not afraid, right? And the Lord, you shouldn't be afraid of the face of man, right? You shouldn't be afraid of the face of man. Like it says Ezekiel 3 and 8, I've made thy face bold, right? The Lord's made our face bold, so we shouldn't shun or avoid or reject. Some people are afraid to teach the gospel, man. They're afraid to stand up at camp and be seen by men, not knowing that the Most High sees all. Man can't see all things. Man, he can have algorithms and cameras, but he doesn't see all things. I'm in my house and I don't have no devices. How are you going to know what I'm doing? Right? So it says, take heed therefore unto yourselves and to all the flock over the which the Holy Spirit have made you overseers to feed the church of Yahweh, which he have purchased with his own blood. Right, so the church of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, because that's the blood of Yahushai, the Lamb. He's purchased that church, that congregation, the children of Israel, with his blood. Right? Because it says, verse 29, for I know this, that after my departing shall grievous wolves enter in among you, not sparing the flock. And a grievous wolf is someone that's coming with a mysterious doctrine, saying, okay, don't keep the Sabbath day. Oh, well, you don't have to keep it. Oh, well, it's nothing. Well, the Sabbath day, they like pull in precepts and verses that will say things like, right, go to it, I think it's in Mark 3. Right, they try and say, Christ is my Sabbath. Yeah, Christ, we will enter into rest, right? Right, we will enter into rest. Right, let me see if I get that. we definitely will enter into rest, right? But this, even in the kingdom, we shall still be abiding by the Sabbath day. You're still going to be keeping the Sabbath in the kingdom of heaven, right? See that? Right. Sometimes you got to go to the physical book, man. Right. In the kingdom, you still will be keeping the Sabbath day, right? And that's all praise to the Most High, man. So you may as well begin to keep it now, right? This is Revelation chapter 7, and I'm gonna read verse number 15, right? Revelation 7 and 15, right? About entering into rest, right? Revelation 7 and verse number, I'll start from verse number 14. What is this? No idea what's doing that. So it's Revelation 7, and I'll start from verse number 14. It says, "And I said unto him, Sir, thou knowest. And he said unto me, These are they which came out of great tribulation." And this society, yeah, this is tribulation. The place that we're in currently, this is a great tribulation, right? This is hell, as they call it. This is a hell. "And have washed their robes and made them white in the blood of the Lamb. Therefore are they before the throne of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, and serve him day and night, and in his temple, day and night in his temple, and he that sitteth on the throne shall dwell among them. They shall hunger no more, neither thirst any more, neither shall the sun light on them, nor any heat." Right? See that? So the Most High is gonna give us rest, right? He's gonna give the Israelites rest. "For the Lamb which is in the midst of the throne shall feed them," right? Because Christ, he's that living water, right? That the bread of life, right? The Lamb which take away the sins of the world, "and shall lead them unto living fountains of waters, and Yahweh shall wipe away all tears from their eyes." So in that day of rest, that ultimate day of rest, we're gonna have that, man, right? But that doesn't mean, okay, well, forget about the Sabbath day. Doesn't mean that, man, right? You still have to keep the Sabbath, man, right? Because some Christians, man, they be saying a lot, man. They be making it seem like, oh, Christ is my Sabbath. Yes, Christ is our rest, man. But does that mean now, okay, well, just quickly, does that mean, okay, forget about the Sabbath day, right? Because even Christ, Mark 2 and 14, right? Just through the Spirit. "And as he passed by, he saw Levi, the son of Alphaeus, sitting at the receipt of custom, and he said unto him, Follow me. And he arose and followed him." So Christ, he kept the Sabbath day. Why aren't you keeping the Sabbath day? Because a lot of so-called Christians, man, they go Sunday's a Sabbath day. Hey, cool. Let's say Sunday's a Sabbath day, right? Which really, historically and biblically, that would be wrong. It would actually be the seventh day, right? Which historically and biblically, that would be the so-called Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, right? If you go through authentic historical sources as well as the Bible, it's a Friday sundown to Saturday sundown, simply as, right? And just to throw in there, just because you might see, okay, it's not when it's dark. Just because it's dark, that doesn't necessarily mean that that's the start of the Sabbath, right? But there, again, that's another lesson, right? But it says, "And said unto him, Follow me," right? You should follow Hamashiach Yahushai in the keeping of the Sabbath, right? But I'll read Mark 2 and verse 27. "And he said unto them, The Sabbath was made for man." So the Sabbath was made for man. If the Sabbath was made for man, that means man should keep it. Just like a woman, like it says in the biblical scripture, it's not good that a man should be alone, right? The Sabbath was made for man and not the man made for the Sabbath, right? So if the Sabbath was created, the Sabbath mean The Sabbath was created for man to keep, right? So yeah, and it says, therefore, the Son of Man is Lord also over the Sabbath, right? He's the Lord, right, over the Sabbath, right? He's, the authorizer of that Sabbath day, of that day of rest. And you enter into Christ, you enter into that rest, man, right? But it doesn't mean, okay, forget about the Sabbath. No, you still got to keep it, man, right? You still got to keep that Sabbath day, man, right? And you got to beware of these dogs, man. These dogs that teach lies on now the Sabbath day and forget the Sabbath day, right? The Sabbath day is what it is, right? This is Philippians chapter 3 and verse 2. It says, beware of dogs, beware of evil workers, beware of the concision. So the concision, people that what? Right? They cut things apart, right? I don't believe I spoke that right. Right? So you have to beware of dogs, man. Right? Concision. Right? I think I did spell it right. Let's put this. Right? So it says the Bible concision, right? Though the practice of circumcision, right? And spiritually, those that are of the flesh, man, right? Those that are of the flesh, they deny the things that are of the spirit. The things that are of the spirit, the Sabbath is something that is a spiritual thing to keep. So that's why beware of these evil workers and these evil pastors, man. That pastors that scatter the sheep of my pasture, right? That's what the Lord said in the book of Jeremiah 23, right? That's what the Lord said, man. Beware of them. You see that? It says, Jeremiah 23 and 1, woe be unto the pastures, excuse me, woe be unto the pastors that destroy and scatter the sheep of my pasture, saith the Lord. So the Most High said, hey, beware of these people, man, right? The Lord said, beware of these people that are saying, okay, don't worry about the Sabbath day. But those guys that are wearing those things at those things at the bottom of their clothes, they tell you to keep the Sabbath. Don't believe them. These people, they're destroying and they're scattering the sheep, and they're causing iniquity to reach abundance, to be in abundance, man, as well. So the Lord said destruction unto these people. That's what the word woe goes into, right? It says, therefore saith the Lord, therefore saith Yahweh Shemi Shai of Israel, right? Against the pastors that feed my people, ye have scattered my flock and driven them away, and have not visited them. Behold, I will visit upon you the evil of your doings, saith the Most High. So the Most High is going to cause judgment to fall on these people because they're scattering the pasture of the Lord's sheep, right? And the sheep are the children of Israel. So they will tell you, okay, I'm spiritual, right? But then they tell you not to keep something that is spiritual. The law is something that is spiritual, and the law is something that is a divine ordinance, right? This is John. This is Romans 7, a verse. I start from verse number 12. Wherefore the law is holy. When something is holy, is set apart. It is different. It's not the same as every other regular schmegular day. It is different. It says, and the commandment holy. So how can you aim to be holy and say you're holy, but you don't do the things that are holy? How? You can't be. Because you're doing contrary to that. It's not holy. That's your own will, right? And you may have not known, but hey, there ain't no such thing as free will, man. Right? Always say this at camp. Ain't no such thing as free will. We don't be doing your own will ends you up in jail. Let's say it like that. This is Baruch 4 and 1. This is the book of the commandments of Yahweh and the law that endureth forever. So if the laws endure forever, does that mean, okay, well, I got baptized yesterday in literal water. Okay, well, I don't need to keep the laws. I'm on the grace. Give me a pork sandwich. That's not right. All they that keep it shall come to life. So if you're keeping the laws under grace, because we're under grace when we keep these commandments in this time after Yahweh Shai, who the world ignorantly calls Christ, right? You are under grace. You have these stupid, and we're gonna say stupid, right? You have these stupid Old Testament onlys that say, okay, well, Yah only, hey, you're a thief and a robber, right? Not you're a robber, you're a robber. You're a thief and a robber because you want to go. You can't go straight to the source, man. When you look at the timeline of our forefathers in the wilderness, right? There was a mediator, somebody that was used as the mouthpiece of the Most High, spoke with the Most High, communicated with the Most High, and told the people, "Hey, look, so and so." That's how it works. You can't just well straight to Yah, right? Yah only. That's that Yisrael spirit, right? Yisrael, right? It says, "But such as leave it shall die." So leaving these commandments, right, or the book of the commandments of Yahweh, Bashim Yahushai, they die. So, and that goes into doing your own will, right? That's your own will. If you're doing what you want to do, and you're departing from the Most High, right? But this is Second Ezra, 3:7. It says, "And unto him," it's talking about Adam, "thou gave us commandment to love thy way, which he transgressed, and immediately thou appointed us death in him." See that? So when he transgressed, meaning what? He departed from the way which was holy. Hey, the Most High appointed death in Adam, right? And he was no longer able to see that greatness and the glory of Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. It says, "And in his generations, of whom came nations, tribes, people, and kindreds out of number. And every people walked after their own will." See that? So if it's your own will, how can you say, well, I have free? We don't have having saying you have free will is like saying you're choosing death. The will that we have to do, right, is the will of Yahweh Bashim Yahushai, right? That's the will that you're supposed to do. Right? Don't you say, "Oh, I'll do my own thing." There ain't no doing your own thing, right? Within the matters, right, or construct of what the Lord teaches, right, after their own will, and did wonderful things before thee, and despised thy commandments. So, doing your own will is put in the same sentence, right? And just because something is wonderful doesn't mean it's good, right? Because you're doing your own will, and it's quote unquote wonderful, but you despise the commandments. It's kind of like a paradox. It's wonderful, but you despise the commandments, right? And that's linked to doing your own will. So make it make damn sense, man. Right, Salakia, make it make sense. So when you despise the will of the Most High, you go and you transgress, right, and you get appointed death in you, just like what the Most High said. That's what happened to Adam, right? And Adam kind of, he done his animal sacrifice, right? That's what you get, man, right? So back to Romans 7, it says, "Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandment, wherefore the law is," so Romans 7:12, "Wherefore the law is holy, and the commandment holy, and just and good. Was then that which was made good death unto me," right? Oh, well, I remember I had this so-called cousin. I told him about the truth, and he said, "Well, that's hard. That's too hard." Right? He said, "That's too hard." I said, "What?" Right? But when you're in a strip club, right? God knows what you pouring bottles on drinks on women, right? Is that hard? No, that's easy, right? Yeah, man. So why is it that when it comes to the things of the Most High, oh well, no, that's hard. That's hard, right? It's because your mind is not really. You're set on doing your own rule. You don't have like a form of conviction. Okay, maybe this was wrong. You don't think like that. If you did think like that, that might And that'd probably be better for you, man. Much better, right? Because if the laws were, the laws are good, man. Like it says, it's good. The commandment is holy, right, and just and good, right? But reading on, I'll go to 1 John 3 and 4. Like we always read this precept. It says, "Whosoever committed sin transgresseth also the law, for sin is a transgression of the law." So transgressing the law, right? That wouldn't be good, and that would be us going out of our God-given parameters to commit evil, right? This is 1 John 5 and 3. For this is the love of God, that we keep His commandments, and His commandments are not grievous. So God's commandments are not a grievous thing. Don't show me that commandment, Sabbath and fringes and feast days. I don't want to see that. People say that kind of stuff, man. But now you message him, okay, bro, you trying to go? You trying to go see these women, man? You trying to go see these women? Oh yeah. I'm first, right? People start trying to bugsy which woman they're gonna speak to. That's just off, right? Idolizing that before the Most High, and watching a brother kind of speak about it, and he was saying most sins, right? They come from uh, um idolatry, right, and fornication, right? That's where most sins come from, right? Who prays to the Most High? Um, I'll respond to that, Lord willing, right? The brother kind of asked a question. I'll drop the email for the congregation in the chat, and you can definitely message there, right? Right, because let all things be done decently and in order, right? But yeah, can't. That's the email there, right? You want to have a read of that, but can't. Right, back to the point though, right? So just drop an email to that to the account, to the email listed there, Bookshop, right? But yeah, if that hopefully that answers your question. Wake up to 144, right? But can't. But point being anyway is that the law is spiritual, man. You don't want to neglect these things and put the things of the Most High first. I mean, see that? You don't want to neglect the things of the Most High and put the things of the world first, man. Because when you put the world first, right, your mind is subject to many things, man. Right? Let's get that in Ecclesiastes 7:29. Right? Jake finding many inventions and many different things to satisfy the mind and the soul and the body and the right. This is Ecclesiastes chapter 7 and verse 29. It says, "Lo, this only have I found, that Yahweh have made man upright." So the Most High, he made man, he made him upright, man. He didn't make him crooked like that damn guy in what's that movie, man? Sparta, like 300 Spartans, man. Right? And he's that Leonidas. He didn't make man like that. Right? Like kind of straightening up. Right? It says the Most High have made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions. So Jake, he'll find many excuses. Right? But the Lord's not really dealing with that, man. Right? So it says Romans 7:13. Was then that which was good made deaf unto me? God forbid, because the laws they're not deaf. Right? They're not, this is difficult. And just making excuses, man. Get the hell up, man. Don't be damn all effeminate and oh, I can't do it, spirit. But hey, when you go to freak off, you can do that though, man. Right? It says, but sin, that it might appear sin working death in me by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceeding sinful. Right? So, but sin that it might appear sin, working death, because sin, right? When you sin, that's death inside you, right? Working death in you by that which is good. So by the commandment, that's what condemns you, right? And in this life, in this grace period we have now, sin, well, the law is going to condemn your sin, and it's going to convict. It should convict you. A lot of these Christians are, well, I have the spirit. I have the spirit. You have to have the Holy. But then you tell them about keeping the law, they don't even want to hear it, man. Right? Because you know that your faith is weighed, man. You know, actions are weighed in the balance, man. Right? It says, by that which is good, that sin by the commandment might become exceeding sinful. Like it says, you know, it says in the same verse, you know, he didn't know what sin was, except it said, "Thou shalt not covet." So, for we know that the law is spiritual, but I am carnal, sold under sin. So, we are carnal beings that are sold under sin, meaning what? Vanity, right? You're a man. So, sometimes you may think like this and do that. That's in your nature to do that. But what are you supposed to do? You're supposed to rebuke these kind of things, man, right? So, that's why keeping, you know, the law is, it lasts forever, right? The laws, they last forever, right? And let's get the classic, right? These Christians will butcher this whole verse and say, oh, it's nothing. It's nothing, right? This is Matthew. And your light, kind of done a lesson on this. The light is a laws, right? The light is laws, wisdom, understanding, the fruits of the spirit, right? Magnified into one thing, right? Let's say that. It says Matthew 5:17. So when it says let your light shine, yeah, I'm keeping the Sabbath day, right? Well, Shimmy, how should I free your faith? Right? It says Matthew 5:17. Think not that I am come to destroy the law. Christ's not here to destroy the law and say, okay, well, forget about it. Forget the law, yeah, that's the old thing. That's the Old Testament. Stop saying it's the Old Testament, man. Old Testament refers to a covenant. Oh, yes, like, oh, that's the Old Testament. You don't even know what testament means, man. Right? Let's pull it up. Right? Testament, you have the Old Testament and the New Testament, right? But Testament really going into covenants, man. Right? Matthew 5, 17, man. Right? Right, so like it must say Testament. Right? But let's see, I want to see what it says for law in here anyway. Because through the spirit, that's what I wanted. All right, see that? So law in this context, right? You can see referring to the commandments, and they were trying to say the Mosaic law. These are the laws of the Most High. They were just given by Moses, like it says in John 1. Right, but let's go to Hebrews covenant. I want where it says testament, right? Just to pull up that testament. First, the Hebrews 9, right? Right? Of the testament. See that? See that? Yeah, see that? So testament, where it says a disposition, arrangement of any sort, which one wishes to be valid, the last disposition which one makes of his earthly possessions after his death, or testament. It's not referring to that, it's referring to a covenant, right? A covenant. Like God's covenant with Noah. So the covenant, the ark of the covenant, that's what it's called. And the testimony, right, is in there. Right? That's why it says in, what's that? I believe it's Habakkuk 2. No. Right? See that? Right? I'm trying to think of the precept in my mind, man. Right? Yeah. Right? Salak, yeah. I believe it's this. There we go. See, it was Isaiah 8, right? But it says Isaiah 8:20. It says, to the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, right? which is these two together, right? Your apocrypha and your 80 book canon, right? Or your you might have a you know KJV, right? A 1611, right? You might have that. To the law and to the testimony, right? It says, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there's no light in them. So you should be speaking according to the word, man, right? That is written, right? That's the law and the testimony, right? So testimony refers to a covenant. People say, well, that's the Old Testament. You don't even know what it means, man. It's covenant. So Christ is not here to destroy the law or the prophets, right? Or so that's whatever the prophets have written, man. What the prophets have prophesied of, right? The judgments, the justice, right? The all of it, right? I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill. To fulfill what? The things that were prophesied or of Christ in the law and in the prophets, right? He's here to fulfill those things that were written. For verily I say unto you, and there's some things that are not fulfilled yet, right? This is Isaiah. I'm about to see that. I'm calling the verses before I'm even there, but this is Matthew 5 and 18. For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. So all things haven't been fulfilled, right? You're still on earth, right? You're still, your mind is focused on sort of vanity. You have to rebuke yourself every now and then, right? You're not the Gentiles haven't been given their judgment on a whole level. It says, wherefore, verse 19, sorry, whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so if you and the Sabbath day is one of the most important days, right? It's one of the most important days. It's not just okay, well, is this the Sabbath day, right? The Lord is my Sabbath. Okay, yes, the Lord is your Sabbath. Are you keeping it? Okay, no, he's not keeping it. So if you're not keeping it, how can the Lord be a Sabbath? You're not even keeping it. You just say, and you buy chicken and chips after the service, right? See that you buy chicken and chips right after the service, man. Right? So you just saying stuff for the sake of saying stuff, man. You want to sound good. But now they're saying, oh yeah, keep the Sabbath day. Nah, 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 nah. You're too good, man. You're too good for the Sabbath. Sabbath's too. Oh yeah, no, that's the Sabbath day. I don't know about the Sabbath day. You know, me, I don't really keep the Sabbath day, but I keep the Sabbath day, man. Or sister, keep the Sabbath day. Get in a congregation. There's many congregations, man, in the UK, right, or wherever you're based at, right. But this is Second Ezra 6 and verse 11, and others that had run together into causes, into caves, right? It's in that 1611 spirit, into caves nearby to keep the Sabbath day secretly. So the Sabbath day was that important that during the period of Hellenization, they kept it in secret, right? That's why a lot of Israelites they converted to Christianity, so called, man, and they started being called after the name Christians rather than Israelites. The first century AD Christians, those are Israelites, right? Like due to persecution by the so-called Roman Empire, which is the Edomites today, right? They weren't able to keep the Shabbat, right? And these are the Greeks, right? So like these are just going into that Greco-Roman time period. You know, you had the Greeks in power, right? Which is again, that's the so-called Edomites, right? And you had the Roman Empire. But even amongst the Roman Empire, you had Jakes, man, right? So it's just being discovered to Philip were all burnt together because they made a conscience help to themselves for the honor of the most sacred day. So the Sabbath day is the most sacred day, right, of all time, right? Some people they go into these concerts, they go in City Splash, they go into this concert and this concert to do that for that concert. Hey, the most sacred day, man, is the Shabbat. It's a day that's supposed to be kept holy. So now, if you're, you're not even keeping that, you're casting your words behind yourself, Once I said, hey, yeah, these things are holy, you're saying, nah, this is off and this is wicked, right? I'm better than this. I need something better, right? This is Deuteronomy 5 and verse number 12. It says, keep the Sabbath day to sanctify it as the Lord thy God have commanded you. So keep the Sabbath day doesn't mean neglect it, right? So you should be keeping the Sabbath day, man. Quite simple, right? And on the Sabbath day, no servile work, right? Servile going into work, that's like transactional, right? You know, yeah, man. It says 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work. Because the Romans they changed the times, man. Right, right. The Sabbath day, it's always in my we at camp. It's on my searches, right? The Sabbath day or the Shabbat, right? As we say in the Hebrew, in the Paleo Hebrew, is the Shabbat, right? Originally observed on Saturday, did not transition to Sunday by a single definitive act. While some early Christians observed Saturday, the shift to Sunday worship was a gradual, multifaceted, driven by various factors rather than a single event. And there's no biblical command to change the Sabbath from Saturday. There isn't, right? And that's why this man's society is a snare to himself. They tell you, no, that's not the day of worship, and that's why it's the spirit behind it. Saturday, there's clubs and this person's having this party, and and whatever, right? But they changed the Shabbat, man. Catholics, they change the Shabbat and say, okay, well, I'm a Catholic, and we change it to Sunday, right, to venerate the sun, but it's still the Sabbath day. What commandment gives you that power, right? Thou shalt change the Sabbath day to the day thou seest fit. The Lord is thy God. Amen. Like what precept is that? What verse says that? I don't see a verse that says that, right? Maybe my eyes are blinded to that. But you can't change the Shabbat to when you want to change it to, right? Let me see. You set the Sabbath the truth. It says, well, even the title alone, no change documented in the Bible, right? But we want to see, look, Constantine. And some people say, hey, Constantine, he was a Jake, right? So that's what some people say, right? Because again, that's where you get that. I believe they call them you got the Roman Empire and the Roman Republic. Because even I believe at one point the Roman Republic and the Roman Empire they had a little clash, right? But it says by the time Constantine was established as the Emperor of Rome in the early 4th century, there was a decided division in the church as a result of all these factors. I think most of you know that Constantine was the first so-called Christian emperor of the Roman Empire. Right, I'm gonna jump down. Right, it says. Look, he said he declared all his pagan soldiers to be Christian and became very zealous to build up the power and prestige of the church. Through his influence, great blocks of pagans were taken into the Christian ranks. But friends, they were still pagan at heart, and they brought in much of their paraphernalia of sun worship, right? So they brought in their paraphernalia, right? Right, the paraphernalia, miscellaneous articles, right? Their acts of sun worship, to which they continue to be devoted. So that's what is adopted to, man. When you're keeping, oh yeah, I'm keeping the Sabbath on another day, right? Hey, like it says in Colossians 2, hey, keep the Sabbath day as you're supposed to, but you ain't even doing that. You're just doing, okay, well, I'm doing what I'm doing. It is what it is, right? You don't want to have that kind of mindset, man, right? So, the Sabbath day, you still got to keep the Sabbath day, man. It says, keep it holy, man, right? To sanctify it, right? It says 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work, Right, so this is Deuteronomy 5 and 13. 6 days thou shalt labor and do all thy work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou nor thy son, right, etc., etc. So your family, they wouldn't be working at that time, man, right? They wouldn't be doing work. It's a day of rest, a holy convocation, right? And just because it's a day of rest doesn't mean, okay, well, I'm just gonna sleep for the whole time. You might be sick and try and put a breakdown on watch something, right? But hey, man, you got to build up the Lord's house, and just because you have a building, right, doesn't mean well, having a building is a mighty aspect to it, you know. But like Christ said, He came to heal the sick. Right, the sick are in the streets. Those that are in the so-called synagogues, which biblically we understand that's going into like you know the having of a temple, right, right, or a place of congregation, man. Right, but let's go into that. Right, Luke 14. Right, so they still got to keep the Sabbath day, man. Because I don't keep it. I just look at it. Right, this is Proverbs. You see that? Thinking of Proverbs 1:20, wisdom crieth without. Because that's where you're finding wisdom, right? This is Luke 14. That's why you see many brothers, man. You see Rocky Hawashai, right? Brothers in South, right? South London region. You got Wake Up Israel. You got Yahweh's Messengers, right? You got London Seer, right? You got these different congregations, man, right? You have IUIC, right? Different congregations. It says they're trying to fill up the Lord's house, man, right? It says Luke 14:23, and the Lord said unto the servant, go out into the highways and hedges. And the highways and hedges is not some damn park in the middle of nowhere. Some hidden off park where no one can see. No one's there. The highways and hedges, man. Right? A highway is to do with traffic. Right? Traffic. Talk to the people, man. Be a man of the people and you just convert in the wind. Yeah, prophesy. Yeah, we hear prophesy to the wind where people are gonna they might hear that. Oh, this guy said Sabbath, Sabbath, Sabbath. He heard it around the corner. Right? So it says, and compel them to come in that my house may be filled. So that's what it is, man. That's what the Sabbath day is for. It's for building up the house of the Lord. Right? It's for building up the house of the Lord, man. So you want to be keeping the Sabbath day. Right? Point blank, period. Right? Because you're blessed if you're doing that. For some people, oh, why is this happening? Well, because you're not keeping the commandments. You're not having, and keeping the commandments is done out of your faith. You're not, oh, okay, well, I have to. You're just dragging yourself along. Right? Hey, man, have some damn self-respect, man. Right? And love the Most High, man, with all thy soul and with all your heart. Right? This is Revelation. This is Revelation 14:12. Here is the patience of the saints. Here are they that keep the commandments of God. Right? The commandments of God, of Yahweh. Keep the commandments of Yahweh, amen. That's a man of faith. Right? Just because you go to some Sunday service, just do whatever the hell, that doesn't mean, what does that mean? Right? That's why you iron's got to sharpen iron. That's why conversations are needed for people to speak about certain things, man. Right? If you're not doing that, then how the hell are you going to learn, man? And some people, they want to be stuck in that sense of not, I don't care. It just is what it is. That's what people say, man. Right? So you don't want to have that kind of spirit, man. Right? But all praise to Yahweh Shem Yahushai, right? It says, and the faith of Yahushai. Because your faith without your works are dead. Right? Faith without works is dead. So how you expect to be blessed, right? If you're not doing what Yahushai left the example for you to keep, or left an example for you to keep. right? Paul was doing that, right? People, Paul. And yeah, Paul was doing that too, man, right? Paul reasoned with the Jews on the Sabbath. Or was he just winging it? Was Paul just out there? Yeah, he beat up a couple church members and he unalived them. Then he said, oh, you know what, Shabbat time. Yeah, well, he converted. He converted, man. You know what I'm saying? And he came into the truth, into the proper knowledge of the truth. Right? This is Acts 18:4. And he, Paul, reasoned in the synagogue every Sabbath. Every Sabbath. So Paul didn't miss one Sabbath, man. Oh, one Sabbath, I'm kind of tired. And he kind of had a contention, I believe, with I believe it might be Barnabas. The contention was so strong that they departed. Right? So it says, and persuaded the Jews and the Greeks. Right? So that's what Paul done, man. Every Sabbath. So what the hell are you doing every Sabbath? You just at home. Get outside, man. Get with the congregation. Go read. Hold post. Film. Burn the incense, man. Get in a congregation. Stop being damn, oh, well, I'm going to make it. How are you going to make it? You're not even trying to put your brick in, man. Right? Still bricking. Right? This is because you got to put work in, man. Put damn work in. This is 2 Thessalonians 3 and verse 8. It says, neither did we eat any man's bread for naught. So we eat his bread for nothing. Right? But wrought with labor and travail night and day. Right? So night and day we were putting in graft, man. We was doing our thing. That we might not be chargeable to any of you. Right? And if you're not chargeable, hey man, that means what? Oh yeah, I'm not you know, oh yeah, he's not keeping the Sabbath. Right? Don't be that guy, man. Right? So it says, not because we have not power, but to make ourselves an example, right? An example, I believe, unto you to follow us. So those brothers, you see, keep themselves, hey, follow those brothers, man. Right? It says, for even when we were with you, this we commanded that if any would not work, neither should he eat. Right? For we hear that there are some which are busy, which walk among you disorderly, working not at all, but are busybodies. Don't be that busy. Oh, you're in the comments. Yeah, these guys are liars. Hey, pull up to camp and come ask these questions, man. Right? So you can, bring a strong reason. Right? That's what the whole point of it is for, man. Right? But hey, all praises to the Most High, Yahweh Bashem Yahushai. Right? Shabbat Shalom again to all the 12 tribes that are scattered abroad, man. Right? Pray, brothers and sisters, hey, have a mighty Shabbat. Right? I all praise to the Most High, man. Right? Shalom. Shalom.